Hello all of my internet friends. Sorry about the slight delay with this video. I've been taking a bit of time to just review what's been going on in the game, trying to figure out the next plans for going forward. I'm going to be cutting ahead a little bit to skip out some of the busy work, such as I'll be doing a little bit of exploration now on my own, as you've seen how it works, but I'll take any notes to record anything that's important happening. In the meantime, since the last video, what I'll be doing is I'll be taking all of my associated objects that I've been finding through my exploration, and I'll be taking those to market. I'll be trading in my AI cores, as well as some industrial equipment, and in that process I also wanted to show you that I had found an Odyssey class blueprint. This is a very good ship to get early on, once you can start assembling ships. So I'll learn it now in this video, so you can see that I've now got that. And even though I can't show you how to do it yet, but if you want to build ships, you have this tab here for custom production. So once we get to heavy industry, I can show the process for doing this. But it's effectively every heavy industry you have gives you the ability to produce a certain amount per month. And then with that you would select a ship, and based on your total production capacity per month, it would take so many months to build the said ship. So for example, if you had 150,000 production capacity and you wanted to build a ship that was, say, just 50,000, it would be built at the end of the month. If you wanted to build a ship like the Odyssey class, it would take 3 months, because it's going to be 2 months and extra couple of months after that, or a couple of days after that rather. So it would still round up to 3 months in total before the ship is fully assembled. During that time, all of your maximum production capacity per month is deducted from your monthly income. You would see it here at the bottom under like custom production orders. So before you go assembling ships, make sure that you have either a good enough net income or a good enough surplus income in your surplus bank rather. That way it will deduct the money from your account and you won't go into the negative for paying for the ship. But this is an excellent way to begin building out your fleet later game. The Odyssey is a very powerful ship. It has squadrons, you see here 2 fighter bays, 2 large energies, and a very large missile launcher as well. In this case it also has high resolution sensors, so you can get a lot of good long range detection and exploration by having a couple of ships like this in your fleet. At the same time, I also want to show off that I've done a little bit of changes to the fleet. Specifically, I've now brought in the, oh god, I keep forgetting his name, the Legion. I brought the Legion into the fleet. I've done a slight refit to it. So I've emphasized bombers for this, specifically one-man high-tech torpedo bombers, as well as, because I ran out of these torpedo bombers, a couple of standard missile bombers. So this ship is going to be emphasizing destruction of very large, powerful targets. I'm not going to pull it into any fights where I'm not needed, but if I am needed, this ship would be capable of delivering a lot of rockets, a lot of cannon fire, and a lot of torpedoes at a target. Likewise, I've emphasized a couple of the standard elements here. You've got the reinforced bulkheads, you've got the ranged unit from targeting unit, flux distributor so that its cannons can keep firing in combat, but also the high resolution sensors. And this is a very powerful thing for a very large ship. You see it gives 100 extra range, so now my total sensor strength is 250. That is a substantial improvement. And the way sensors work is that you have your sensor range here, and if you press F1 you'll see that it takes a base sensor strength of 300 and then the next 5 ships of the highest sensor strength. So once you have a couple of Odysseys, or better yet a few Odysseys, maybe another couple of larger ships with sensor bonuses, you would reach probably the maximum sensor strength your fleet can do. Like mine is 250, that's probably what you would be able to most use for each ship. So in total you're looking at approximately 1,000 to 1,250 extra range, in addition to the 300 and in addition to the 25% bonus you'd get, and any sensor arrays. So with that kind of range, you'd be able to see pretty much the whole system at any point in time. Okay, and so for the other ships, I have refitted my older Falcon, specifically as the strike variant, because even though these Talon interceptors aren't that amazing, they do make a good distraction and they do have some good weaponry on them. I believe it's a substantial improvement for this ship, even if it does cost it some vents and capacitors, but those fighters will be an excellent addition, especially when trying to pin down smaller ships, which I was having difficulty with in the last few missions. Not much of a change to the Sunder class. The Norn is the same as well, but I did convert these mules into converted carriers like I was going to say. And for these ships specifically, I try to emphasize giving them the unmanned fighters, like the Spark Interceptor and the Wasp Interceptors. These fighters are completely disposable. You can use as many of them as you want because they don't have any crew on them. So I like to put these ships on the line. They aren't very good at fighting straight up with other ships, but at least with these fighters they are putting out something that is going to be attacking the enemy, it's going to be distracting the enemy, and with that medium frontal cannon and a couple of missiles, these ships will be relatively good for the moment until we get some better weaponry. And likewise, I also refitted the frigates. The Wolf frigates, later on, once I've got a couple of the ships able to distract and deal damage to shields, I then switch them to close support frigates, because this emphasizes more of the beam weapon at the front and combines it with the advanced optics mod, which means that these ships can fire at a substantial longer range, and they don't do a lot of shield damage, so they can't get through a ship's shield, but once they get to the armor, they can just keep ripping a ship apart far outside the range that the ship can hit them back. So that's about it in terms of modifications. I cleaned up some of the civilian ships, strapped on like an insulated engine assembly to the salvage rig, so its sensor profile is a bit smaller. Let's see what else. Not much else changed. Oh yeah, I stuck some high resolution sensors on these drone tenders, as that's all they're pretty much good for at this point. And that's about it for now. So I'm going to go take this cargo. I'm going to take all this cargo off to Tritachyon space. Specifically, I'm going to head probably here to Ragnar at Scaffi. And there, once I've offloaded everything, I'm going to proceed next with getting a commission with Tritachyon. And I'll continue on from there and show how that works. So now I've arrived here at Scaffi, near the star system of Valhalla and Ragnar. And I've already done the trading here. I've sold off everything that I intended to sell. Oh, yeah, double saved. So in this case, I want to also point out some of these things that when you sell them onto the market, like these nano forges and blueprints and so on, this also includes AI cores. When you sell these to the market, they don't disappear from the market. They stay there at that specific spot. So later on, when you have substantially more money, you can come back to that same place you sold things like your blueprints and whatnot, and you can buy them back. It does cost more money, but you can still get them. If you accidentally sold AI cores early on, you want to now pull them out, they will always stay at the market. At least from what I've seen, they don't disappear. They've been there for years. Sometimes I come back and the blueprint I sold is still at the marketplace. So things like these nano forges, cores, this kind of stuff, which maybe I might use later, I can remember that it's still here, and if I desperately need it, I can come back and buy it. But these kinds of things you will find relatively commonly, I'd say, especially the corrupted nano forges. And now with the 50% extra salvaging bonus, we don't need to worry about that anymore. So it turned out that my plan to get commission of Tritachyon might have to wait just a little bit, as I am still a few points short of favourable with them, so I can't get commission just yet. I might be able to get commission of another faction, maybe like the Hegemony. Yeah, in fact only the Hegemony, because I'm at more than 10. But the Hegemony ends up at war with a few different factions, so I'm not so sure I want to go with that. Also, I'm not a fan of the Hegemony's military, which is using more midline ships, whereas the Tritachyon ships tend to emphasize higher tech. Lots of shields, lots of energy weapons, which are, I'd say, better all around. Although the Hegemony is definitely very fun with all those cannons and missiles that they have. Okay, So I've offloaded everything. I've unfortunately not been able to get commissioned, but I've got a good enough fleet ready to go. I would like now to continue exploring, get a bit more money. In the same time, my colony's still building its defenses, just literally one more day. Then it'll get farming up and running. Now that I've got some extra credits, I can also queue up the patrol HQ. And whilst I'm here, I'll also queue up the way station. So these are like some of the core essential things you'll want to get for your colony, as well as eventually an orbital station. And the way that this works is you get a choice of 3 different stations. And they all cost the same, they all have the same upkeep. So you might think at first like, oh, obviously you want to get high-tech compared to low-tech, right? It seems like a no-brainer. Well, it's actually a complete difference in terms of how the station fights as opposed to what it is actually better at. So, for example, the high-tech station emphasizes more shielding, fighters, missiles, maybe some lasers. It's not as directly dangerous, whereas, say, the low-tech station doesn't have a lot of shielding, but it has a lot of armor and a lot of cannons. The midline station, however, emphasizes a lot of cannons, so I tend to pick midline. It's generally, I'd say, better than high-tech, where shields get overwhelmed very easily in a big station fight, and midline cannons at least can still keep an enemy away from the station long enough, and it shoots down all the fighters coming at the station. Low-tech can also work, as I've encountered, attacking a very fortified low-tech station can be very painful, but midline is a good compromise. And you can always just change them around if you want to later on, it's not an issue. Okay, so I think for my next exploration I'm going to go with this little cluster here in the Frost Nebula, as it's relatively close by. I'll skip Penelope's star as there's nothing there that I think is going to spawn randomly, such as research stations and things like that. But it's always a good place maybe for putting up a colony later on, because it does have a couple of habitable worlds. I believe it has at least one habitable world, but it's also uncomfortably close to the Luddic Church, so I'm not too much of a fan of putting it right there. Anyway, I'll head off to Delta Fros, and I'll see you guys in a second. So I've now arrived at Delta Fros. Let's see what we've got. I'll try the gravity well. Maybe it froze me up somewhere. Okay, nothing so far. Let's do a sensor burst. Nothing coming up. This is usually how it goes. So, get used to exploring and not finding things, but sometimes you will, and then you will really be happy with it. It looks like whilst I was exploring, the pirates decided to make an early little strike against my colony. That's probably given the fact that their pirate base is so close that they have a relatively easy time of getting there. And you'll get a little notification here under colony threats. It'll pop up also on the left. And it'll tell you a lot of information such as how powerful the fleet is, how many fleets they're bringing, and comparison to your defenses as well on the planet. So in this case there is no orbital defense, there are no squadrons in the sky, and there's only ground defenses, which are not that good at this moment because the planet's not that large or stable. So it's probably going to cause a lot of problems. I want to get back to Agriop as quickly as I can and try and intercept that pirate fleet and hope that it's not larger than my fleet. This is also partly the reason why you don't want to go exploring too far away from your first colonies, because the moment pirate raids and Luddic path attacks, whatever, start happening, you don't want to be on the other side of the galaxy and just watch your colony slowly spiral out of control. It is not a good way to go. And we've arrived to the system with 12 days to spare. That should give me a bit of time, and I can stay near the planet at least, so I don't need to worry too much. The pirates will probably come in through the inner jump point, so we can wait around there. Unfortunately, early on your colony will not have resource stockpiles for you to draw out yet, but once you can get the way station built, you will have the ability to access supplies and fuel and crew as and when you need it. and by crew I mean substantially more than just this little amount. So they should be here very soon. And there they are, right on schedule. And it's not too bad of a fleet, I say. Quite capable for us to destroy that, probably. And we can set them straight as they come in, because they don't have time to build up speed to escape yet. A lot of unshielded combat ships, these little frigates, or transports converted into frigates. A couple more unarmored freighters. Realistically, the only thing dangerous would be this attack destroyer, the mule, and the freighter because of its fighters. This class support destroyer, Mark II, has no shielding, it tends to get chewed up pretty quickly. So let's engage. And in this case, let's throw everything except the drone tenders at it. And we'll see what we can do. So, now with my ship, you have a special ability when you press F that makes the ship go incredibly fast. But if you notice, it also locks me in position. So sometimes you can crash into your friends and break their engines, which is not always a good thing. Okay, let's see how it's going. Okay. So there is no control points. Our squadrons should be okay for now. I'll set my ship to autopilot just to see how things are going. You see just how fighters chew up anything. Just having those little drone squadrons can be such a blessing, especially against pirate ships like this. They just can't fight back. And all those torpedo bombers going to work. Very nice. Oh no, those torpedo bombers, those were just missiles from the standard rocket bombers. Those are torpedoes. There we go. I think we're mopping them up pretty quickly. Having fighters definitely helps a lot. See how things are going over here. Looks like the torpedo bomber's coming in for a run. Yeah, they are just incredibly powerful. But once they fire the torpedoes, they have to go back and reload. And then they'll go out for a second bombing run. Okay, how are things going? They'll be mopping them up pretty easily. Oof, pirate ship just random. Oh, that's what having no shields makes for a problem, because every missile that hits you will just blow you up. And that's it. So what else do they have in reserve? A bunch of fuel tankers. Okay, let's pursue those. Use the frigates. Destroy maybe. Okay. And... okay, did we lose a shuttle in that fight? Yes we did. Anything of value we can take? Unfortunately not, but we'll recover the shuttle at least. Pick through the wreckage, get some supplies back, get some fuel. In fact, in general, just take all. You can put it all in the colony for later. And we can then do a bit of salvaging, get a bit of extra treasure, whilst they run away. See, the raid has now failed. got a bit of resupply from that, even though it's going to cost me about 100 supplies just to repair everything in the process. A good early way to get some early fighting is to protect your colony. Like later on, as it's doing more imports, it'll have more pirates. It will become an absolute war zone around your colony, and it's a great place to get some skills. For the moment, however, we can just offload everything that we don't want to keep. A stockpile of metal on hand, maybe. And in the end, you would have a nice selection of weapons, fighters, and so on, so that the next time you want to refit a new ship, you can just go straight here, do an auto fit, and see what will be thrown up by that. Here, gives a couple of dual autocannons. Not a big upgrade, but it's worth it. And now we'll do a couple of levels up for our officers. So let's see, are they in the right ships first of all? I think so. Let's see, what does Mahjong have? I think shield defense is always good to have. Combat endurance, I really like to try and get. That just means the ship stays in combat for a lot longer. I think more defensive systems. And in this case, I think I'll make her a carrier commander. So we've got strike commander, wing commander, rocket bomb to be hit points, damage to fighters, missiles, strike commander free, carrier command. So this will reduce the losses from fighters as well as get them out into the battle quicker. In general, everything that's green, there's only 3 carrier skills that are green, so you want to max those all out. Now I'll put her, actually, in charge of the Mora carrier, like so. Going back to my other officer. I think projectile speed is always nice to have. And then always level 3 gunnery implants. If I can get it, always try and get level 3. That weapon range combined with ECM bonuses as well as any other ship targeting system bonuses means that you can be hitting an enemy at practically half extra range of what they can hit you. You will always be winning in that case. And likewise, if the enemy officer has it, they will probably be winning. But that's good for now. I think so. And in terms of character levels, let's finish off loadout design. This will give us an extra 10% ordnance points for all our ships, which means we are now going to be flat out far more powerful. We can do the refits now, actually. So, in this case, I'll do the same thing, the fire support auto fit. And then I want to get rid of ECCM package and substitute that with high resolution sensors. And we dump a bit more into vents, capacitors. See what the strike variant upgrades. A few extra little cannons maybe. Close support. Looks like I just gave it to extra capacitors and vents. The destroyer. A couple of upgrades to the weaponry. At this point it's got so many cannons, it is very much a floating turret. And then we'll see what the drone carrier does. So it should remember our preference for the unmanned fighters. Just upgrade some of the weapon systems. Same thing with the military cruiser. And actually I want to see if we have... No. There's a specific cannon I was looking for, which we don't have just yet. Just do a straight up upgrade. At least it gives us a few capacitors and vents to work with. Every ship is always good having a little bit of extra of that. And the converted carriers. Just going to swap out some of the weaponry. Vents are always important to have on your ships. as it means that they can fire for longer whilst under the protection of their shield, assuming of course they're not being shot at whilst they're doing it. And this is generally what will happen the moment you get your skill up. You'll be going through every ship, making sure everybody's completely happy. And now, for my civilian ships, I can't really do much with upgrading those because you can only fit 2 logistics-based mods. So anything which affects the non-combat environment, such as military systems or high-resolution sensors. So these particular ships, I can't really give them another mod to make them, say, have more cargo or anything like that, because I've already used up my 2 available spaces. But I can still at least give them a slight upgrade, just to get rid of this yellow text. And strap a cannon to them, just in case. In this case I also put high resolution sensors on some of my other ships in the back, such as say the freighters. In fact, I'm curious about this. If I take a look, it is 90 sensor strength, but it's a large ship, so if I stick high resolution sensors on it, it goes up by 60, so that's very impressive actually. I think I'll take that over the expanded cargo, because being able to see things at long distance means we can avoid problems and acquire loot a lot better. And I'll save that actually as a second variant. Okay. Let's make sure this is a Vulcan cannon and then resave it. Okay, so now it's going to make sure that these are all cannons and it dumps whatever is left into the vents and capacitors. The salvage rig probably will not get much done for that. Do the Phaeton. And then Scepter. Perfect. And unfortunately he got blown up, so he went to the back of the queue. We'll put him back in. Now we have a substantially upgraded fleet of ships. I'm a little bit happy with that now. And before you head out again, make sure you offload all of the extra weapons and things, because when you do the refits in port, it's going to dump them back into your ship's inventories. So you want to dump those back onto the planet, just to make sure that you have the extra space and you're not lugging around ship equipment that you don't really need. It's not like when your ships get destroyed and you repair them that they lose weaponry. They'll be re-salvaged with the weaponry. So now we have a very impressive 1950 sensor range. Most of that is from our Capital Legion ship, and the other 2 amounts are from actually our civilian ships in the fleet. Specifically, the larger the civilian ship, the more the sensor strength it'll give us. So we get the Colossus and the Buffalo giving us an extra combined 150 and 120 amount, which is quite pretty impressive. Actually, I see something over here. Maybe that's a trade fleet. I don't remember this debris field being here before. Oh, a signal that was sent a long time ago. Okay. Well, I'll take the extra supplies. Surprised I missed that. That's the one advantage of having longer sensor range. You can see all the hidden treasure. Perfect. And I'll continue my exploration, and maybe we'll get some more pirates to kill. And I think the best option would be to actually make sure that the pirates don't bother us anymore. At least for a little while. You want to always destroy these factions before they get too powerful early on, because if you just leave them, they accumulate, and you end up with these incredibly large fleets of ships. Distress call and the Morphogoros. Where is that? Right here. Let's go take a look once we've salvaged this mule. Extra supplies. And for distress signals, if you check, for example, the text of the ability itself, it says, by long-standing convention, the fleet in distress should meet at the innermost jump point. So when you see a distress signal, always go to the jump point that's closest to the star. That's where you're likely to find whatever it is that's waiting for you. Sometimes it's pirates, sometimes it's wreckage, sometimes it's generally people that need your help. We can take a look, at least we might get something of value. And in this case, there seems to be, looks like a wreckage. Maybe it's got something of value at least. Oh, okay, it sent out a signal. Begin the salvage. Quite a bit of fuel though, that's nice. Go dark. Oh, hello. Get out the way. I can take one on, but I can't take both on. Okay, let's go for him. And he did a sensor burst, so he can't run away. I think that'll be a nice little fight. Let's move in. And for this one, I don't know if we need to put as much ships out. Maybe we can skip on the cruiser. A couple of the smaller ships. And now, I always set I don't know if this is a good strategy, but I always set capture orders on all of the terrain advantages you might have. This will ensure that at least that you have something trying to contest them so the enemy doesn't have them. Because when they do have them, you might have some problems. And let's continue. Using this speed boost to get straight into the thick of things. Okay, where are the pirates going? Mostly over here, it looks like. Okay. Yeah, okay, so that's where most of them are. Set my ship to autopilot. See how things are going. That's why I love torpedo bombers. Just fighters in general, just having lots of drones on the field keeps the enemy so occupied they can't shoot at you. And there's the enemy's super combat freighter with all those cannons on it. And lots of missiles too, look at that. However, you see it's got a very small shield arc, so it's like all the other pirate ships, you just hit it a few times and eventually the cannons break and then you just keep shooting it and it can't fight back. If you got one of those ships, I would recommend getting a shield arc upgrade at least. That way it could fight a bit more like a proper battleship. Let's see how things are going here. Perfect. Yep, there we go. It's trying to fight with my ship. Okay, you control all the battlefield terrain. I'll let fighter support. Oh, okay. I think I'm going to get a little bit closer. My ships are being a bit too cowardly. They might be a big ship, but they don't have a lot of actual armor, so it's not too much to worry about. And with all those missiles, you'll overwhelm their shields pretty quickly. And I believe that's it. Clean up. We could salvage the super freighter with all of its damage on top. No thanks. We can't salvage you though. I'll take that much. Anything interesting? There's a specific kind of cannon I'm looking for, but I'm not seeing it yet. Go dark, hide in the debris field if we can. Until we can repair up and take on the other fleet. Grab as much as we can. And then I got a couple levels up. And so after I get loadout design, now I want to maximize, I think probably these industry skills, specifically the repair ones. Recovery is also nice for that fuel advantage. You'll just be drowning in fuel after that. I like field repairs because it cuts down on supply usage and gets you back into fighting a lot quicker. So go with that. We'll hide here for just a little bit until our ships have replenished a little bit. Okay. Come on, come a little bit closer. Come on. Wait for him to do the search. Once he does the sensor burst, I'm going to catch him. There we go. Okay, so he's a little bit of a larger fleet, but it should still be okay. We're at full combat strength, so I think we'll be fine. Yeah, I'll deploy everything except for the drone tenders. The AI pilot is unfortunately very timid when it comes to using the speed boost, so I want to try and get to the front as quickly as I can. That way at least my torpedo bombers can help out just a little bit. Okay, so they're all going to the middle. These all pirate ships are so funny. Fortunately, they've got a couple of phase frigates, but they're not that dangerous once you can overwhelm them with fighter squadrons. So they're focusing on Alpha. Good thing my ship can hold the line very well. Okay, so they're all trapped up here. Perfect. Doesn't even require much effort on my part. I just sort of watch, make sure that nothing terrible happens. Try and keep ships from flying to places where they shouldn't be. Those bombers launch their bombs quite far away. Torpedoes are a lot better. Oh yeah, that's why I like bombers. Okay, how are things going? See the close support variant of all those long-range lasers? Just how much of an improvement that makes now. These pirates all deserve this for their fake distress call. Oh, this one's trying to run away. God, combat readiness is dropping 29%. He's probably going to stall out. Or no, he might actually get away, I think. These guys won't catch up in time. Nope, 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 nope. He got away. Well, we can chase him down. There we go, the whole fleet. Anything of value now? Let's see. I would have liked to have salvaged that Falcon if it wasn't so badly damaged. Degrade engines, glitch sensor array, compromised armor, structural damage. Actually, the ship itself already has a good amount of speed, so that's not too terrible. Yeah, I think I'll take that one. And grab an extra bit of crew from the colony. Grab all the supplies. And do the quick salvaging. No, thank you. And a quick salvage again, and a level up after that. And we can get level 3 for faster repairs, and also it reduces maintenance cost of our ships for every one of the orange damaged effects that they have. So now, if we look at the fleet, say we take our new ship we just got. If you look at this here, you see under maintenance, it's practically half the maintenance cost now. Because it has 4 effects, each one is reducing the maintenance by 20%. It's not going to eliminate maintenance down to 0%, but it is good enough. And for especially a larger ship like this, that can be a big impact. That's minus 14 maintenance cost. Here's minus for only 3.9. But still, it'll save us a lot on the supply budget, and therefore money and cargo space. Get a bit of extra levels up. Weapon damage is always nice. Maximize commander skills. combat endurance. I think helmsmanship. Perfect. So we've done a little bit of pirate killing, defend our colony, be on our way to destroy the pirates when we can, but I need to head back to Agriope and grab some more crew and refit my ships. But that'll be for the next time. I hope some of this combat was informative, and as always guys, thank you for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.